Hello everyone, my name is ScarWidow and I will be reviewing the newest DC film, The Flash. The film is about Ezra Miller's Barry Allen wishing his past could be changed in the sense that his mother could be alive. He feels alone whenever he's not helping Batman and the other members of the Justice League save the world. So, Barry decides to Naruto run until he changes the fate of his mother's life, which results in worlds colliding with Michael Shannon reprising his role as General Zod, coming to an Earth that contains Michael Keaton's Batman and a fairly new actress in Sasha Calle as Supergirl. There's another Barry Allen in this mess, so it's a Jean-Claude Van Damme double impact situation going on here.
Get ready for double impact.
There's two of them. Think about it.
Van Damme times 2.
He looks exactly like you.
Me?
Before I go further, I will refer to our Barry as OG Barry and other Barry as Young Barry. Anyways, OG Barry must form a makeshift team in an attempt to stop Zod from obliterating absolutely everything, including a random IHOP and a billion people, all while trying to fix the multiverse. I can say with all that being laid out on the poker table of this RPG, it was kind of a mixed bag with its execution. There were a lot of moving pieces director Andy Muschietti is tasked with when handling a project this big. Not only does he have to acknowledge the past events of the Snyderverse, Muschietti also has to make a film that has to justify Keaton returning, introducing a Supergirl, explaining time travel and its effects on the multiverse, and making a brand new foundation for James Gunn to come in and start his own DCU. Whoa. With a barely sub 2.5 hour runtime, Muschietti had a lot of shit to do in the continent in order to complete his Witcher contracts.
Hear about the contract? Really got an imp problem? Or is that just an imp or affection in the notice?
While I did state the film being a mixed bag, there were more hits than misses in the execution when looking back at my own personal experience with the journey through the Speed Force, so I guess that's good. One of the strengths of the film is the comedy. Normally, films within the Snyderverse were dark, both metaphorically and quite literally. However, you could really see a change right from the opening minutes of this entry. Without getting too heavy into spoilers in this section, there were moments where I found myself enjoying OG Barry's uncomfortable social anxiety and stress when interacting with his fellow super friends. Being someone who is sometimes awkward myself in public, I can sense a sort of connection and understanding between me and OG Barry. Most of the comedy comes from young Barry, who is barely 18 and going through the immature phase of his life, where he is a meme lord who loves sexual innuendos. While it was funny to a fellow meme lord such as myself, I could understand if people grew tired of young Barry after a couple of dick jokes. Anyways, I did enjoy this film being a little more lighthearted and not taking itself too serious. After all, with two Barrys, a grappa Batman, a random Supergirl, and an alien warlord in the middle of a Back to the Future inspired film, I'm glad writers Christina Hodgson and Joby Harold were aware of the absurd nature of the uncanny cake they were baking and do some levity in the batter before putting it in the oven to make. The biggest strength this film had were the characters. While I do not agree with Ezra Miller's personal life in any way, they did a good job in showcasing OG Barry's sadness for losing his entire world with his mother's passing and father's wrongful conviction due to the sarcastic attitude and social anxiety barrier he built to show towards others. Whenever he does reveal how he really feels about life to others, OG Barry's sadness hits that much harder because we're used to his jokingly weird anime goober side. Furthermore, on Ezra's performance, they had to perform a 2-on-1 handicap WWE match in this film by playing young Barry too. Young Barry was an absolute blast, and I found myself at times liking young Barry a little more than OG Barry. There was something about his youthful innocence and joy about the superpowered world around him that sparked a bit of nostalgia within me and reminded me of myself when I was a kid and watching comic book films for the first time. Moving on, Michael Keaton was fucking phenomenal as Batman. Like, holy shit, going into this film, I thought Keaton was showing up to get an easy paycheck, but it truly felt like he built up this impatience to wear the cowl again since Batman Returns in 1992.
You missed.
Whenever Keaton was on screen as Bruce Wayne / Batman, the entire film seemed to change into a Burton film, and he absolutely ate up the scene. I believe that Keaton's Batman was the perfect choice to bring back as a Batman from the past. Another major highlight in the character list was Supergirl. I'm a bit of a feminist, so when I see a strong female character done right, I morph into the biggest fangirl ever. I melted at Sasha Calle's performance. The Queen arrived to her first major silver screen performance, and he visioned my chest and dilated my heart like Superman annihilated Captain Marvel's brain in Injustice.
Lois would never want it. Just.
Sasha was delicate when needed and fierce when it was Mighty Morphin time. I hope she stays on for James Gunn's DCU because she was an adorable small being who I loved a lot. As far as the other characters go, I think they were kind of lacking in the simulation. I'm not going to get into spoilers in this part, so for now I'll just say Michael Shannon got an easy bag because General Zod was not even a threat at all in this film, and it hyped him up just for his character to be as empty as a bag of magic wind in the SpongeBob movie.
Right.
Step 3. Remove string from bag, releasing the winds.
Check.
Well, that seems simple enough. Point bag away from home, feet firmly on ground, pull string, releasing the winds.
Also, although Iris West is supposed to be Barry's love interest and was led on in multiple trailers to have a bigger impact in the film, she really wasn't a presence at all. She could honestly be written out of the film and it would be left completely the same. The final part I would like to touch on before the spoiler section is the CGI. By now, the CGI has been banned to the Shadow Realm for being a Jurassic Park-sized pile of shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
Being someone who never really cared for CGI being terrible or magnificent, The Flash never bothered me in terms of its CGI. I think it has to do with me enjoying all sorts of video games, and with Final Fantasy VII Original and Resident Evil 4 Original being among my favorite video games of all time, despite the graphics being dated as fuck, I would feel like such a dickhead for shitting on films such as The Flash for having terrible CGI. That being said, while I could see the CGI in numerous parts of the film taking people right out of the experience, it didn't bother me at all because video game graphics and film CGI was never a deal or no deal type situation for me. Now I want to talk about the film in its precious entirety. One of the choices I liked was OG Barry losing his powers when he meets young Barry. I saw it as a clever way of the director and writers sliding in a sort of classic normal nerdy kid going through his anime training arc with a mentor after obtaining powers beyond his comprehension, while at the same time not rebooting the entire DCU. Having OG Barry lose his powers, we can see how a new Barry, in this case young Barry, got used to his powers to become the Flash we got introduced to in the Snyderverse. Also, it added to the strength of the film being a comedy by having wacky scenes like young Barry burning his clothes off and being a little dummy trying to fight enemies while he hasn't practiced any type of martial arts yet. While I already praised Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle's performances in my non-spoiler section, I would like to extend my conversation a bit more to their arcs. I enjoyed Keaton serving as the wise old man character on the team while still showcasing his skills as a worthy combatant. The moment where they break Supergirl out of the Russian prison and Batman taking initiative by single-handedly making an escape from the ballsack she was held captive in to the surface by literally exploding the bottom of an elevator shaft was brilliant. Also, his words of wisdom to OG Barry in the conversation about the multiverse and his mother's passing in the Batcave for the experiment to get his powers back was great. Also, I can't forget how beautiful the Danny Elfman score still is whenever Keaton is fucking shit up. Overall, I loved Keaton's Batman, and this film really did feel like you could watch Batman 89, Batman Returns, then turn The Flash on immediately after and feel completely normal, because Keaton literally picked up right where he left off 31 years ago with the character. Moving forward, Supergirl was so amazing. Although she had the least screen time out of the heroes, Sasha Calle was just so brilliant and nuanced in her portrayal. My favorite scenes of hers was the Russian prison breakout where she turned on Super Saiyan mode and obliterated the Russian militia, and the emotional scenes such as with young Barry on the roof of the Wayne Manor, and the conversation with General Zod where she found out that Henry Cavill got shafted again by dying when he was a fetus. Like, why does Warner Bros hate Cavill so much? The fuck did he do? He was one of the only things I liked from the Snyderverse. Anyways, Sasha Calle was a beautiful queen and I stand a queen, okay? Now that I can talk about spoilers, Michael Shannon got fucked in this film as General Zod. The film hyped General Zod so much when OG Barry made the worlds collide, only for him to be a minor set piece at the end and not a big final anime boss in the third act. I think Shannon only had like 10 lines in the film, and even then, Kaye carried the scene. No wonder he didn't enjoy reprising his role in The Flash. General Zod felt like straight fan service, so the Snyder fanboys had something to chew on while saying goodbye to the Snyderverse. I wish the film had more justice for General Zod in the final act, as he felt so wasted as they focused more on Dark Flash being the actual final anime boss. That being said though, Dark Flash was not even a threat as much as he was a plot device to explain what the fuck the multiverse is and how OG Barry could mess it up if he kept going back in time like Eric Stoltz did in Back to the Future. Overall, I understand why the film needed General Zod, since they wanted someone to create a reason why Batman and Supergirl had to team up with both Barrys, but maybe it would have been better if the film utilized General Zod and Dark Flash better, because it was severely lacking in the villain department. While I did enjoy the cameos in the film in the beginning, such as Ben Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, it did become a little too much for me in the final battle when both Barrys and Dark Flash were in the metaverse looking at all the Reddit universes. I understand the multiverse is a hot topic that comic book movies are doing right now, but it gives me such a headache sometimes when they go sicko mode with all the cameos just for fan service. Like, Nicolas Cage didn't even have his Superman movie. He's just there for the diehard fans to fap to because we know he was going to have one and we were supposed to lose our shit because holy shit, he's there, oh my goddess. Also, why did they really need to resurrect Christopher Reeve's Superman for a couple of seconds of screen time? It seems so weird to me. Anyways, I know the multiverse is going to continue to get hog wild in this western, so I guess I'll have to deal with a random George Clooney returning as Bruce Wayne before these studios realize fan service is sometimes a little too much.
$5 million. That's a utility belt, not a money belt. $6 million.
$7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
To conclude, I think the overall message of accepting our past and letting it mold us into a better person for the future is a nice theme for a Flash film. Having OG Barry come to the realization that his selfish action of wanting only to save his mother to satisfy himself is ruining the entire multiverse was a good foundation for this film. While it did have some major issues, the message came full circle in the finale by having OG Barry return the can of tomatoes to its rightful place on the shelf and accepting that not everyone can be saved, even his own mother. Well, I think I touched on everything I wanted to talk about in The Flash. Overall, a fun film about time travel and worlds colliding. While it did have some weird problems with it, it mostly was a better DC film to have come out in a while. So I'm giving Andy Muschietti's The Flash a 7.5 out of 10.
Hey guys!